And then now the local government is stepping up, stepping into the void because the federal government isn't doing what they're supposed to do, which is regulate helicopter traffic. Understand, and I don't want to be a critic of the FAA, but the last time I looked, New York airspace has to be one of the busiest airspaces in the United States. You don't require flight plans. You don't require them to stick to a certain altitude for most of this flight. You don't require other minimum altitude things. I mean, I'm sure these helicopter pilots are very skilled, but nevertheless, this is the busiest, one of the busiest airspaces in the country. To me, someone isn't watching the store. Yes, sir.
This year, for I think the first time, we're also getting a lot of seaplane traffic. And there's actually been TV advertisement of how cheap it is and how quick it is. Is there any, since the seaplanes have to land in the water,
yes,
which is essentially county property, is there anything the county can do to regulate that?
We absolutely can. Seaplanes don't land, the last time I looked, on county property per se.
Well, the water is county property, technically.
I think the towns would argue that case. Superbuses, yeah. I think the certain portion of the bay bottoms out a certain distance are owned by the town. The rest are owned by the county. We own the bottoms. I don't know if we can make a claim to surface water. That's more problematic. And that, I'm not an attorney by profession. I'll look into that for you. I'll leave you my card. Get in touch with me. I'll do some research on that issue. Yes?
I think you're doing a great job, Ed. I appreciate it. Quick question. I saw an article in the paper. It was a while back. The FAA said something about they can't make the helicopters fly over the ocean without a study. They want to do a study first. And maybe I was installed, but my point is, why would we allow them to fly over the North Fork without a study then?
Because Schumer made that a rule and made that part of his press conference in, I guess it was the end of May, beginning of June 2010 when we had this press conference.
Without the study. Now they need to study.
Right. Well, again, I'm a guy that believes in half right on time and then all right too late. I don't know that they need a study over the ocean. I know that Fire Island, although it's populated, it's very lightly populated. I think a lot of it has to do with other bodies of water like Georgia Pond and things like that. I didn't want to get into that, but and by the way, I think that's a great question, and I assume the Voice will have our congressman as a speaker at some point. That's a great question to pose to him. This is really a federal issue. It's the FAA that should be stepping up to the plate. And I mean, the county stepped up to the plate. They passed my law simply to get the federal government's attention. If we go to enforce it, I'm sure we are going to be preemptive. But we had to do something because this issue was getting out of hand. And you know what? To sit back and say nothing and just say, well, it's not my problem, wasn't going to work. We are still going to continue to put this pressure on. And I think it would be great if you could get our congressman here. I know he's busy this week, there's other issues, but if he could come and you could express to him some of the frustrations that you're feeling and some of the alternatives out there. Even if it's one way here and another way back. For starters, you cut down half your helicopter traffic. Even if it's a requirement. One of the things I said is let them fly a mile off the sound, let them come around Plum Gut to East Hampton Airport, because East Hampton Airport is generating about 70% of the traffic. Let them come around Plum Gut so that they don't impact houses the way they are doing now. And that's the other suggestion. Even if they have to fly the northern route, let them come all the way around Plum Gut and come around this way because it'll disturb less people. But you know what? No one is looking at that flight, making a determination, how can we fly best without disturbing the people underneath us? And at what altitude should we fly? And how far off the coast should we fly? And how should that route be taken? Now you would think that should be a requirement of an FAA, local FAA, to determine that. Those determinations have not been made. And yes, I would encourage you to have the congressman here and enter into a dialogue, or the senator, if he's prepared to show up, or one of his representatives, to discuss this issue. Yes, sir.
Anybody have any other questions to do with, other than helicopters? Because we're going to get a big discussion too. I'm sorry, not to do.
No.
Joe Fischetti here is going to help you a lot with that too, so that's
Right.
between the two of them. Any other questions, please?
Yes, returning back to the water,
Yes.
is there any discussion of using composting toilets requiring new construction, or?
That has come up. That has come up. Composting toilets have come up, but that's, you know, a harder thing to take a look at. There are systems out there that are being used in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey, in Maryland, and in other states that better denitrify. Right now, as I said, a septic cesspool, somewhere between 40 and 50 milligrams per liter in terms of nitrogen waste. There are systems that can get that down to about 5 milligrams per liter. They're more expensive, but it may be something we may require from new construction that is closer to the water. That's an extra burden. It's something we have to wait. Also, I'm a great believer that the best way is to use the carrot approach. If you have an old septic cesspool system and you think you're replacing it, let's offer you an incentive. Maybe the county can come up with a grant program where we can pay half the cost. Because I think it's in the long run the benefit of the county to do that. So that's my thinking on that, and I'm certainly open to suggestions. Again, I can send anyone it's a big email, but an email of the county's comprehensive water resource.
We can also get it to SoutholdVOICE and put it on our site if you want, for people to look at. It'd be easier.
Right.
It'll help me too, get you to come to my site.
And I want to mention John Radamai, your other trustee, who's done a great job, worked hard, and is deeply involved in water quality issues. And I want to thank your trustees and the supervisor for being here today too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.